Hola, hola, buenos días, Redeemers. Ya es jueves, son la 1:30 de la tarde y ya estamos en nuestro encuentro de los jueves. Y hoy tenemos un programa muy interesante de mucha información. Así que te pido que te conectes, pero no solamente te conectes, compártelo. Comparte este entrenamiento a todos tus amigos, tus familiares. Compártelo en los grupos en los que tú perteneces, para que las demás personas también se beneficien. Si todavía no te has suscrito a nuestro canal en YouTube, ¿por qué no? Hazlo, es gratis. Tranquilo que no te vas a enfermar cuando subas allá. Vamos a hacer una cosa. Yo te voy a esperar un segundo. Vete a YouTube, Redeemers Group, y suscríbete. Pero también acuérdate de darle a la campanita para que te notifique cada vez que Redeemers esté subiendo un video. Así eres el primero en enterarte de todo lo que está pasando en Redeemers Group. Estamos auspiciando este programa con Redeemers Credit y tenemos un invitado especial. Seguimos trabajando las finanzas en nuestro hogar, mi gente. Seguimos trabajando lo que es el beneficio de tener dinero, mi gente. No te estoy diciendo el beneficio de ser rico, no te estoy diciendo nada de eso. Lo que estamos hablando aquí, mi gente, es que cuidamos lo que tenemos. ¿Y en dónde lo vamos a poner? Hoy te vamos a decir cuál es el mejor lugar de poner nuestro dinero. También, cómo beneficiar a nuestras familias aún después de la muerte. Tenemos que dejar a nuestra familia en buen estatus aún después de la muerte. Así que hoy tenemos un invitado especial. He's getting ready for us. Okay, I see him. He's around here, but he's gonna get ready for us in a minute. Okay, because hoy no estamos solos. Redeemers hoy no está solo. Tenemos invitado especial y su nombre es Derek O'Neill. Él está en el estado de la Florida y desde allá de la Florida nos va a estar compartiendo esta información. También tenemos a Daniel. Él también va a estar escuchándonos por ahí porque también él quiere saber qué es lo que está pasando en Redeemers Group. Así que O'Neill, this is your group, this is your time. Welcome to Redeemers Group.
Hey, how are you guys doing? How's everybody doing? Okay, so nice to meet you guys. Pleasure, first of all. I really appreciate, Sheridan having us on and being able to speak to you guys and, definitely have the time to, teach you guys a couple of things today that I think will be very, very beneficial for you and, your financial life, okay? And that's all we want to do is we want to be able to, help you guys, educate you and teach you what needs to get done so that way you're not, we're in the best financial situation of our life because truthfully, growing up, we really didn't learn too much about money or personal finances in school. And, and so that's a big deal. And so we pay the price for that a lot when we don't learn about these things. And so we want to be able to teach you basic concepts and principles that you can use to make sure that financially, no matter what happens to your family, that you guys are set off on the financial aspect of things, okay? Now, Sheridan, I want you to, anything that you need as far as, translating, please let me know so that way I can, be able to, know when to slow it down or... Okay.
Sure, of course. Básicamente lo que estamos hablando es que vamos a discutir hoy el beneficio que tenemos de saber, de conocer sobre nuestras finanzas. Básicamente él está diciéndonos que hoy vamos a aprender, como les estuve diciendo al principio, no solo cómo tener dinero, sino qué hacer y tenemos que saber todo lo referente a nuestras finanzas.
Okay, so want to go straight into the all right, great.
Yes.
So guys, I'm gonna pull up a couple of things right now, okay? And I want to teach you a couple of key concepts. All right. So well, first of all, I want you to know a little bit about our company and and you know who we are and what we do for people and things like this. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm gonna pull up. I am gonna pull up in Spanish, just so you guys can be able to kind of follow it just that much more. So give me 1 second, guys, so I can go ahead and pull this up real quick. 1 second.
Mientras ponemos la presentación totalmente en español para que ustedes nos estén entendiendo mejor, es una presentación muy amplia, la cual nos va a explicar bien profundo más sobre nuestro dinero. En el entrenamiento pasado, los que me siguieron en el entrenamiento, estuvieron escuchándome decir, tenemos que aprender qué hacer con nuestro dinero y dónde lo vamos a poner satisfactoriamente. Créeme que en el banco no es el mejor lugar. Así que hoy te vamos a estar compartiendo esta presentación en español, 100% en español, la presentación. Cualquier cosa, cualquier duda que tengas, preguntas, comentarios, yo voy a estar como todos los jueves pendientes al celular y voy a estarles compartiendo lo que tú me estás diciendo para su beneficio, ¿ok?
All right, guys. So basically, so when it comes down to it, first thing is, you know, the name of our company is Primerica. I don't know how many people have actually, you know, guys have heard of Primerica, but as far as our company goes, we're actually the largest independent financial service marketing organization in North America. We were founded in 1977 and then listed on New York Stock Exchange. So our ticker symbol is PRI. Just means we're a publicly traded company, so you'll be able to look us up anywhere, okay? Now, on the bottom here is, well, on the top is actually when we were publicly traded in New York, okay, back in 2010. And before that, okay, I mean, if you look at the picture on the bottom, this is actually our home office in Duluth, Georgia, okay? So our home office is gigantic. It has, you know, 2,700 employees that work in it, has its own street name called number 1 Primerica Parkway. It also has its own zip code because it writes so much business, it literally needs to have one, all right? We have 5,000 offices, United States, Canada, Puerto Rico, and Guam. And as far as, you know, life insurance goes, we are number 1 in the nation. So we beat companies like Allstate, State Farm, Prudential, New York Life Insurance, or any insurance company you guys could think about, we beat them, okay? And so I know there's a lot of times people never really heard of Primerica, and it's because of the fact that, you know, we don't advertise. You know, we think it's a waste of money. We'd rather take all the money and put it back into making a superior product for the clients and then give it back to the agents who are servicing those clients, okay? And there's a lot of companies that do this, companies like Bentley and Rolls-Royce and Tesla and Costco's. If you think about those companies, they don't really advertise. And honestly, you know, they don't have to, and honestly, we don't either, okay? We believe if we do what's right for people, it'll speak for itself, okay? So now, the first thing I want to do is I want to be able to talk about, you know, making your money grow. I think that that's a very important thing. You know, it's something that we really don't learn in school, okay, is how to make our money grow. You know, right now there's so many people that are, living and struggling financially. You know, if you look at these couple of things over here at the bottom, you know, obviously you'll see that, one, debt's at an all-time high. When people are investing, when they retire, they're not being able to retire with enough money, okay? And so they struggle and they have to work for the rest of their life. And that's an issue, okay? And so we want to be able to help people, teach them how to make that money grow that much more, okay? And make it grow a lot faster, okay? If you look at people not having enough life insurance or having any type of life insurance to protect their families, that's also an issue as well, okay? And so we're going to talk about some of those key things because all of it's very important, okay? But the first thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about how to make your money grow. Now, what I'm going to teach you guys really about is I'm going to teach you about something called mutual funds, okay? And so when it comes down to it, growing up, I never heard of mutual funds. And I'm sure if I asked you guys, a lot of you, wouldn't really know what a mutual fund is. And, I didn't know what it was. I thought they said mutual friends. But I want to help you understand how this works, okay? Now, first of all, I'm going to teach you first a concept. And I think that's a very important thing, okay? So there's a concept. There's something called the rule of 72, okay? Now, the rule of 72, all right, what this means is if you were to take 72 and you would divide this by any interest rate, right? This is really how long it's going to take for your money to grow, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of this real quick. I'm going to write something on here, okay, so you guys can see, okay? So, because I want you to really understand this, all right? So basically the way this works is like this. What the rule of 72 means, guys, if you were to take 72, okay, and you divide that by any interest rate, this is how long it would actually take for your money to double, okay? So here's what this means, okay? Are they, Sheridan, are they able to see, is it like delayed or?
No, it's okay. You have, let's see, always is a delay.
There's a delay,
Always,
okay.
yes, always we are ahead of a little bit, but right now they have
Yeah,
what
they
you
see
are
it,
doing.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so basically the rule of 72 means if you take 72 and you divide this by any interest rate, this is how long it takes for your money to double. So for an example, 72 divided by 1 is 72. Just basic math, okay? And so what this means though is, you know, if let's say you guys right now, right? Let's say you had $1,000 saved up at your bank, okay? And if you had $1,000 in your bank, and let's say you wanted your 1,000 to quickly grow to $2,000, and let's say your bank gave you a 1% interest rate, it would take you 72 years for your 1,000 to then double to $2,000. I mean, let's be real, guys. I mean, how do you feel about that, right? I mean,
Wow.
This is how people stay broke, okay? And, you know, we got taught growing up, you should save your money at the bank, and that's the best, that's the most secure way to do that. And it's not true. And, you know, the reason why is because what you have to realize is that a lot of times, you know, really, you know, the government, the banks, the insurance company, the insurance, you know, you know, all these different industries, they make money off of our ignorance. So the less we actually know about money, the more they actually make. Exactly. So if you're earning these little small interest rates, then your money's not going to be able to grow at the level that it actually needs to be able to grow in. Let me prove my point, okay? Now, let's say you took a 3% interest rate. Now, if you took 72 and you divided by 3, that's 24, okay? So that's 24. Now, if that's 24, then that means that if you started off opening an account where you were earning a 3% interest rate, and let's say you put down $10,000 up front, you put down $10,000. If you put down $10,000 and you were only earning a 3% interest rate, well, 72 divided by 72 divided by 3 is 24. It would take you 24 years for your $10,000 to double to $20,000. Well, that's still too long, right? I mean, that's nothing. And if you waited another 24 years, so let's say you started at birth, at 48 years of age, you would only have $40,000 at retirement. Now, I'm sure everybody can agree with me that you can't retire with $40,000 these days. This is not the 1920s, right? You can't retire with that. And so that's the issue, okay? So now what we do is we want to teach people about investing into something called a mutual fund, okay? Now, the thing is that, you know, we don't get taught any of this stuff. And I'm going to help you really understand exactly what a mutual fund is, okay? In a very simplistic way, okay? So understand this. A mutual fund would be like you investing into 100 different companies at one time, okay? Now, we call this diversification. The chances of all these companies doing bad, that's never actually happened before, okay? So for an example, could you guys ever see companies like Microsoft, Walmart, Disney, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, all doing bad at the exact same time? No, okay? And the reason why, even during COVID, if somebody, you know, some people might be thinking, oh, like, well, in COVID, yeah, you know, everything went, it didn't. Walmart was still doing great. The toilet paper industry was still doing great, right? The hand sanitizing companies were doing great. You know, Facebook, YouTube was doing great. And so, and if you look at all these different companies, it doesn't matter. It could be a good economy. It could be a bad economy. At the end of the day, right, you know, companies will do good and some companies will do bad. So a mutual fund is if you're investing into all these different companies at one time, it's safer for you. Plus your money's going to grow a heck of a lot faster. And at the end of the day, what we're looking to do is we want our money to grow fast. We do not want our money to grow slow. Does that make sense? And so that's the biggest thing that I need everybody to understand, okay? So now, mutual funds, okay, on the other hand, when you invest into a mutual fund, right, the interest rates that you're going to be able to earn are a lot higher. So your bank right now is giving you 0.5%, right? I mean, that's half of a percentage. But if you invest into a mutual fund, the average mutual fund is earning over the average mutual fund is earning over 12%. It's averaged 12% since the 1930s, which is very, very big. So if you take that same principle, 72, and you divide that by 12, if you divide it by 12, that means that it's 6. So 72 divided by 12 is 6. So your money would double up every 6 years, which is a lot faster than the 24 years or the 72 years that we just talked about. So you're going to be able to grow money a lot more rapidly, okay? And so let me prove this to you, okay? So remember, on 3%, your 10,000 turn into 40,000. Now check this out. If you were to invest into a mutual fund, and let's say you earn a 12% interest, you put away the same 10,000, but it doubles every 6 years. So 6 years later, you'd have 20,000. And another 6 years later, it starts to compound, okay? And so by compounding, it takes the new number and it doubles that. So 20 turns into 40, 40 turns into 80. And if you look at that same time period, 48 years later, you started off with 10,000. If you earned at 3%, you only had 40 grand in there. But if you earn at 12%, if you're earning a 12% interest rate, at this end of those same year period, you wouldn't have 40 grand. You'd have $2.5 million sitting in your retirement account. So think about that for a second. You've taken the same amount of money, okay, that you started off with, 10,000 here, okay? And 48 years later, if you had put it in a bank or, into some account that you're earning, like a CD at a bank, they call that certificate a deposit. I call it certificate of depreciation because you're actually losing money as it's sitting there, okay? So you don't want that, okay? So, but look at this. The difference is you would have either $40,000 or you'd have $2.5 million sitting in your retirement account. Now, the difference is where you put the money at, okay? And by investing into a mutual fund, because you're investing into so many different companies at one time, right, it's safer and your money's going to grow a lot faster. And that's what we want our money to do. We want our money to grow fast, because if you just choose to leave it at the bank, then all you're doing is you're choosing the banks to steal your money legally, because they're going to take your money. They're going to earn an interest rate, a high interest rate off of it. You're going to earn a low interest rate, which is nothing. They're going to make a lot of money by investing into credit cards, loans, mutual funds, stocks off of our money. And we get 0.5%. 72 divided by 0.5 is never, because your money will never grow. Okay. And so, unless you're a vampire, right? And that's not going to happen. Okay. So we got to learn how to make our money grow faster. Okay. Now, I don't know if you have any questions about, is there any kind of questions you have about that, Sheridan, or anything?
So what I'm thinking, for example, what I say to my people, you have your money and you can deposit your money, but look for the best place. That's what you are talking about. We need to look for the best place to put your money. Tenemos que buscar el lugar correcto para poner nuestro dinero. Él ha estado explicando que en el banco no es el lugar correcto. Tenemos que ver tenemos que poner ese dinero en el lugar correcto donde nos dé dinero rápido por nuestro dinero. Nosotros no tenemos una larga vida. Muchos de nosotros ya estamos, ¿verdad? En la mitad de la vida. No tenemos una larga vida para poner nuestro dinero. Tenemos que movernos rápido y en el lugar correcto. So my question is, for example, if I put my money on the best place, like you saying, and I get the money faster, I don't need to wait 72 years. Okay, so I gain money faster. Can I on the during times, can I take money from there?
Yes, you could be able to touch your money whenever you want to be able to
Okay.
touch your money, okay?
Okay, that doesn't happen on banks.
And that's the thing.
That doesn't happen on
No.
banks because if you remove money from your IRA, you pay taxes, you pay fines, and you pay a lot of your money.
Right. If you put your money into a CD at a bank, first of all, the interest rate is typically like 1%, 1.5%,
Exactly.
and they make you hold it in there for a period of time. So they'll make you hold it in there for, 3 years, 4 years, something like this. The problem is that if you put that in a bank, one, the interest rate is low. Two, you can't touch it for 3 to 4 years. But then when you do touch it, one, your money didn't grow to anything, and the cost of living went up 3% every single year. So if you earned a 1% interest rate and the cost of living went up 3% every single year, when you finally take it out, your money is actually worth less than it was when you first put it in there, and you still got to pay taxes on there at the end of the day. So it's not the best vehicle to do. I mean, that's not, you're not going to be able to make your money grow like that if you're doing, and they know that. It's the same reason of why, if you guys really think about it, it's the same reason of why you go to the bank, you look at your savings account, they give you a 0.5% interest rate. But let you take out a credit card and they're charging you 23%, 27%, 29%. They charge you a high interest rate because they know that interest is going to make them a lot of money. But when it comes down to you making a lot of money, that's not the case. That's not what they want you to do. They want you to make a little bit of money so they can make a lot of money, okay? And the people that work at the banks, they don't know any of this stuff, okay? It's the people that are running the banks that know this stuff, okay? And so that's the issue. So we as a company, our job is to make sure that we could sit down with people and educate them about what to do with their money, okay? We're basically taking, what, the rich have endured for years, financial education, advice, knowledge, and we're bringing it down to middle income families so that way we could teach them how to make that money grow at a much more rapid rate. Does that make sense? So that's really what we're doing, okay?
Si tienen alguna pregunta, este es el momento de hacerla. Yo voy a ser su intermediaria, mi gente, como hacemos todos los jueves. Les puedo dejar saber a él tus comentarios y tus preguntas.
All right, so now what I want you to understand is this, okay? Obviously, your money's going to grow a lot faster throughout time. And of course, we want that to happen. We want our money to grow faster, and we could be able to help somebody do that, okay? Now, let's say you're like, hey, I want to be financially independent by the time where we get up there, retire, we have a target goal of how much money you want sitting in that account. And we can help you out with that, okay? But then there's another side of this, okay? And the other side is that we have to help people protect their families as well, okay? And that's with the life insurance, okay? And so again, growing up, not only do we not learn about money, but we also don't learn about life insurance neither, okay? And so you have to understand really what life insurance is and really what it's for, okay? Because most people that think of life insurance, what they do is they think of death insurance. Life insurance is not death insurance. It just has the wrong name, okay? So we don't get life insurance because we die, okay? What it should be called is income protection. What you're protecting is the income that your family was bringing in for that period of time. Does it make sense? And so when it comes down to it, if we had a husband and a wife, or even if it was a single parent, but let's say we have a husband and we have a wife, and let's say that husband and wife, they're each making $30,000 a year. Right? So they bring in $60,000 that comes into that family's home. Okay. If they bring in $60,000, that $60,000 is paying for their mortgage and their rent, their electricity, their water, their cable, their food, gas, cars, cell phone bills, kids' education, clothes. It's paying for a lot of stuff. Right? So now these days, 60 grand isn't a whole lot of money. So let's say that family was still kind of struggling a little bit, right? To pay bills, right? But they're being able to pay their bills. But what you have to understand is that God forbid if one of them were to pass away. That means that family will go from $60,000 of annual income to only $30,000. So now they're making half the amount of money that they were making before. And because they're making half the amount of money that they were making before, what's going to happen is now that family is going to suffer. That spouse that no longer has that $30,000 coming into the house will probably lose her house, they'll probably lose the car, move into a poor side of town, kids go to a worse education system, probably have to, move in with a family member, or the wife will probably have to remarry a strange, marry a strange man, right, to help take care of that family, which happens all the time, just to bring in extra money to that house, right? And so, so what you have to understand is that the reason why we get life insurance is not to replace the person. What we're trying to do is we're trying to replace the income that that person was bringing in. Because truthfully, if someone passes away, we can't replace that person. We can't, okay? And honestly, that person is really, really important. Nobody wants, their kids would love to have their father or their mother, right? The husband would love to have his wife back. The wife would love to have her husband back, okay? But we can't change that, okay? And I do believe that as a husband, as a father, which I am, I do believe that, we have to make sure that, if we pass away, we have a financial responsibility to our spouses and to our kids to take care of them financially, dead or alive, okay? And that's the biggest thing, is we have to be able to take care of them dead or alive, okay? And so the way we do that is with life insurance. So if someone passes away, we can't replace them, but we replace their income. By replacing their income, we can still have that same $60,000 coming in every single year for a period of time, typically until your youngest child is of adult age, okay? So that way they can keep the same standard of living, or until you pay down your debts, credit card debts, you paid off your home, you paid off your, your student loan debts, because you don't want to leave any of this debt to your family. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you have a student loan debt, it's an unforgivable debt, meaning that if you die, and let's say you own $30,000, it's going to get rolled up to your parents, or it's going to get rolled down to your children. But either way, the government's going to look at getting their money, okay? And so, but if you have life insurance, you can add more coverage to be able to replace not only the income, but to replace paying off the home, paying off all your other debts. And that's what we want to do, okay? And that's what we want to teach people how to do this, but no one does teach. They simply try to sell something. And we want to make sure that we are educating people so they know about how to do these things, okay? Now, before I go on to the next part, Sheridan, I don't know if you wanted to kind of emphasize on any of that.
Yes,
or
yes, I do, especially on this part. Let me do an overall in Spanish. Give me a second, because this is very important, okay? So give me a sec. Okay, mi gente, lo que estamos hablando aquí es muy importante, porque ahora mismo ya salimos de dónde invertir nuestro dinero, de dónde hacer crecer nuestro dinero. Ahora estamos hablando de otro tema también muy importante, que es tener un seguro de vida. O sea, a nosotros, como él dice, no nos enseñan, esto lo hemos hablado en los live que yo doy los jueves, no nos enseñan sobre estos temas de dinero, de savings, de economía, etcétera. En casa no se habla de este tema, las escuelas no se habla de este tema. O sea, venimos a una edad, las estadísticas dicen, estadísticamente hablando, entre los 35 a 45 años, es que nosotros venimos a aprender o a interesarnos un poco sobre la reparación de nuestro crédito, sobre cómo ahorrar, qué puedo hacer con mi crédito. Nunca he comprado una casa, ¿cómo la puedo comprar? O sea, entre los 35 a 45 años, ya hemos vivido una vida entera, más de 20 años, hemos vivido sin tener este conocimiento y estos privilegios. Ya cuando nos estamos interesando sobre estos temas, ya tenemos 40, 50, 55 años. No es tarde, mi gente, pero el punto que te quiero llevar aquí es el siguiente. Tenemos que seguirnos educando, porque esto del life insurance, del seguro de vida, es un camino a proteger a nuestra familia, a cuidar a nuestros hijos, a los que dejamos. Si tenemos una corta o larga vida, como quiera vamos a dejar a nuestros queridos y los tenemos que dejar protegidos. Él estaba diciendo que un seguro de vida no es un seguro de muerte. Este seguro no es para ti, para cuando tú te mueras, es para tu familia, para cuando tú faltes, ellos queden protegidos por ti.
Okay, great. So now, guys, so one thing I want to really talk about is I want you to
give
learn.
me a sec. Give me a sec. I have a comment. This is a good one. Oh my God, Joaquin. He said. Let me translate. when we buy our cell phones, we buy an insurance, but we don't buy an insurance to protect us.
That's true. And that's what I tell people too. You're absolutely right. You know, it's crazy how, you know, we have car insurance to protect the car. The car is literally maybe a $20,000 to $30,000 investment, and people insure that, right? Now, people get a home, right? And you know, a home is maybe a $150,000 to $300,000 investment, and people insure that, right? But and then you look at your life. You know, your life is a $1.2 to $2.4 million investment, and then people don't insure that, which is crazy, because if you were to make, you know, $30,000 a year for 40 years of your life, that's about 1.2 million. And if you have a spouse and they make the same, that's about 2.4 million. So clearly we're the biggest investment is ourselves. We're the vehicle that generates the income. And so if we're the vehicle that generates the income, right? And if something were to happen to us, does it matter that we own the house? Does it matter that we own the car? It doesn't. Because if we die, then we're going to lose the house and we're going to lose the cars. And so like he's saying, is it's the same thing. It's, you know, I meet people that got insurance on their phone, full protection on their phone, but they don't got no insurance on their life. And I think that is the most ridiculous thing, because what they're saying is that phone that cost them $1,000 is somehow more important than their life, right? And it's just crazy to know it.
That's
but that's how we thought. And because we don't get taught about life insurance. Now, here's something I want you guys to know too, because I want to explain the different types of insurances, because there is good and bad. But before I do that, what I want you guys to realize is this, is that the reason why we get car insurance is not even to protect your car. It's to protect the other car that you hit. Okay? So that's what we get car insurance, to protect the other person's property. Now, why do we get homeowners insurance? Well, we don't get homeowners insurance to protect their home. No. We get homeowners insurance to protect the bank's home, because you don't own the home yet. Not until you're done with the 30th year mortgage, you don't own anything. We could say we're a homeowner, but if you've been here for 2 years, you're still paying off the bank. So the bank owns the home. So they make it mandatory that you have homeowners insurance, because they want to make sure that you don't jack up the house, right? Until they, you know, because it's their property. But the moment you own that home, you don't need to get homeowners insurance. The moment you own the car, you don't need to get full coverage, because at that point it's your property and they don't care what you do. So why do we not get life insurance? Well, we don't get life insurance is because the way the government looks at us is like this. If you don't care about your family, then we don't either, because it doesn't affect anybody else. But we'll make you get the homeowners insurance because it affects the banks, and we'll make you get the car insurance because it affects the other person that you hit. Life insurance, we don't care about it because it doesn't affect anybody else. So if people don't learn to get life insurance on their own, right, then all they're doing is screwing over their own family, and they don't realize that that's actually what they're doing, and nobody else cares. Okay? And so that's an important thing.
Give me a sec, please. Give me a sec. Let me translate that. Because, guys, nosotros estuvimos hablando en el entrenamiento sobre el gobierno, sobre nuestra cultura. En los que me siguen, los que están aquí escuchando, que estuvieron en el entrenamiento de la semana pasada, estuvimos hablando sobre el gobierno, cómo el gobierno nos tiene, que tenemos que cobrar una cierta cantidad porque si no, no nos dan un beneficio. No podemos ser ricos porque entonces el gobierno no nos ayuda. El gobierno no le interesa que nosotros seamos ricos, mi gente. Entonces, lo que él está diciendo, el gobierno no le interesa que tú tengas un life insurance y protejas a tu familia, porque el gobierno no le importa lo que pase después de tu muerte con tu familia. O sea, el gobierno le importa que tú tengas un car insurance, pero tú no estás protegiendo tu vehículo, sino el vehículo del que tú chocas, el otro vehículo. Eso le interesa al gobierno. El gobierno le interesa que tú tengas un seguro sobre tu casa. Tu casa, ¿qué casa? Si no es tuya hasta que no la saldes. Por eso te exigen un seguro en tu casa, porque el gobierno tiene que proteger al banco, no te está protegiendo a ti, mi gente. Por eso tenemos que salir de nuestra cultura, tenemos que salir de pensar en el gobierno, tenemos que salir de de estas instrucciones que nos han venido dando, mi gente, que no son la realidad, mi gente. Así que organicemos nuestras finanzas, sentémonos a organizar todo esto que estamos escuchando en el día de hoy. ¿Y qué nos beneficia a nosotros? Nos beneficia en que nosotros estamos solos, mi gente, porque el gobierno no piensa en tus hijos ni en tu esposa o en tu esposo. El gobierno piensa en ellos, mi gente.
All right, awesome. All right, good. Now here's what I want you to understand, guys, okay? Because, you know, again, our company is more of an education company, and so we want to educate people, okay? And so we want people to understand that there are different types of life insurances. There's 4 ways to get life insurances, and that's it, okay? And I want to explain all of them to you because nobody's ever taught it to you, okay? So, so the first way, okay, and I'm actually going to draw something on here, okay, if you don't mind me doing that. So I'm going to show you 4 ways that you can actually get life insurance. Okay, guys. So I'm going to put a little graph right here. Okay. And so the first way to get life insurance is to have no insurance. Okay. So believe it or not, that is a way to get life insurance, is to not actually have any. Okay. And there is a lot of people in America that have no life insurance, no protection of their family. And if they were to pass away, their family is going to suffer significantly for it, okay? And so that's a problem. We have to help out that people. Now, the second way to get life insurance, okay, is something called group coverage insurance, okay? So you got group coverage. Now, group coverage insurance is insurance that you guys get through your job, okay? And so now, when you get group coverage at your job, you know, a lot of people have, and I think that's great. I mean, it just shows that you think it's important, but that's all they got. And that's the concerning part. If you have insurance at your job, that's fine, but it should never be your main means of having life insurance, okay? Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because of the fact that, when you get it through your job, typically they only give you about 3 to 4 times what you make on an annual basis, okay? Now, experts say we should have between 8 to 10 times what we make on an annual basis in order to be properly insured, okay? So for an example, if someone makes $30,000 a year, what they should have is about $300,000 worth of life insurance in order to be properly insured, okay? So obviously, if you're getting it through your job, that means you're grossly underinsured. There's not enough coverage to be able to take care of your family, okay? Now, at the same time, the second issue is that it's not portable. So if you quit, get fired, or get sick of your job, well, what happens to your life insurance, right? I mean, it's gone, okay? You don't get it anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's just a benefit through the job. But you're not at the job no more, so now you lose that benefit, okay? Mm-hmm. And so now the problem with that is, what happens if you were working with the company for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, right? And then you get fired. If you get fired at that time, then what's going to happen is, after you get fired, right, you're going to have to get your own personal life insurance, but now you're 15 years older. See, life insurance is based on age and health. So the younger you are, the cheaper it is, okay? The older you become, it just becomes more and more expensive to actually get, okay? And so you want to get it as personal coverage, as young in life as you possibly can, because if you keep waiting, it's just going to get more and more expensive, okay? Which means you're probably limited to how much coverage your family actually needs, okay? Now, what happens if you get sick in between the time that you work at your job and then get fired? Now, when you try to get insurance outside of that, you'll become what's called non-insurable, because now an insurance company's not going to really want to touch you because of the fact that you waited to get it and now you're sick. Does that make sense? So no matter what it is, all right, you have to make sure that you get personal insurance that you own. Because the truth of the matter is that when you get it through your job, you're renting it. You do not own that, okay? And you want to make sure it's something that's yours and something that you actually own, okay? So, Sheridan, I think that, you know, when I explained the 4, you should kind of explain a little bit on that, you know, on those parts, right? And then, like, you should explain that, and then I'll go to the next one. Do you think that, or?
It's okay. I think it's okay, but I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Thinking about what I'm listening. How expensive is to protect my family?
That's a good question. Okay. Now, one, what I would say, because I'm going to go into those next ones now, but one thing I want you to understand is that if you get it through your job, it seems really, really cheap because it's a benefit. But there is some insurances that with your job, you can actually take with you, right? Because you pay extra. But whenever you quit or get fired from your job, the price goes up significantly because now it's not through the job. So they're going to upcharge you. Okay. So some people I talk to, they're like, yeah, I can take some of it with me. Yeah, you can, but that price is not going to be the same price. It's going to go up significantly. Okay. So that's one thing I want you to understand. Now, I think that as far as, you know, how much can it be? It depends on what you get. Okay. And so now the third and fourth way to get life insurance, because I'm going to explain it on your question, Sheridan.
Okay.
But I want to explain the third and fourth way to get life insurance, which is personal. It's something that you actually own. Okay. So the third way to get life insurance is something called cash value. Okay. Now, cash value consists of whole life, universal life, variable life, and run for your life. Okay. And that's because it's the worst life insurance you could possibly ever get. Okay. You never want to get this type of life insurance. And I meet a lot of people that have this type of life insurance, or they have whole life insurance. Okay. And it's the worst type you can get. Okay. Now here's why. See, the way whole life insurance works is it has two components built in. So it has life insurance and it also has investments. So for the retirement, that's called cash value. Every month, this client is paying for two things. So they're paying for the life insurance and the investments and the life insurance, but they're not actually getting both. They're only getting one, not the other. Okay. So let me give an example, right? So let's say you had a husband and wife. Okay. Let's say Bob and Susan. They both have whole life insurance. They got $100,000 worth of life insurance coverage on each other. Now, if they got $100,000 worth of life insurance coverage on each other, right? Let's say they've had it for 10 years and they have $10,000 built into their cash value. Then remember, that's supposed to be the retirement account. Okay. And so let's say they have $10,000 built into that. Now, let's say Bob dies. If Bob dies, then the wife will get the $100,000 death claim. But the problem is that there's $10,000 on the investments, and surely you'd assume that she gets that, but she doesn't. And the reason why, because in the policy it's stated that if the spouse dies, the beneficiary will get the life insurance, but the company has the legal rights of keeping all of the investment money that they've been saving for 10 years in that account. How dirty is that? And the crazy thing is that the client never knew about that. The reason why the client never knew about it is because that's not what the agent said, right? They didn't teach them that. So at this point, you paid for two things, but you actually only got one. Now let's flip the story a little bit, okay? But same scenario. Let's say you have, 100,000, 10 years, 10,000 on your investment account. But let's say both Bob and Susan are completely healthy. Okay, they're both alive, they're both healthy, but they are having a financial problem. Now they know that they have 10,000 built up into their investment account. Okay, and so they call up the company, the insurance company, and they say, "Listen, I want to take out $5,000." Company says, "Well, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, listen, we can't let you take out the 5,000, but we can let you borrow it." Okay, now let's be real, guys. I mean, who's trying to borrow their own money, right? Nobody's trying to borrow their money. That's crazy, right? But not only are they going to borrow their money, okay, but they're going to charge them around a 9% interest rate to borrow their money. So they're going to charge them a very high interest rate if they actually take it out. And when they pay it back, boom, charge them around 9%. Now, what's even worse than that, though, is that the whole time the money was actually sitting in those accounts, they were only earning around an average of a 3 to 4% interest rate. So they were earning a low interest rate, okay? And so their money wasn't actually growing fast enough. And they were earning about 3%. Now, I just showed you earlier, if you were kind of paying attention to that part, if you were in a 3% interest rate, it would take you 24 years to double your income. So your money's going to grow slow, and they know that.
Yes.
Right? And what's even worse than that is that if you were putting money away every year for 10 years or every month for 10 years, if you would have checked typically after the third to fourth year that you were putting money into that cash value or the investment account, you would have $0 in your account after the fourth year. And you're thinking like, well, what do you mean? I mean, what do you mean? How can I have nothing in there right? If I've been putting money in there for 4 years, where did it go? Well,
Where'd the money go?
it all went to the agent who sold you the policy, right? So the agent got paid big money to basically
No
rip that
way.
family off. Okay, how jacked up is that? Okay, now let's say you call up the insurance company and you say to them, listen, I got $10,000 in my account. I'm not borrowing my money. This is my money and I need it now. Okay, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of those JD Wentworth commercials. Okay,
Yeah.
it's my money. I need it now. You guys know
I
what I'm
need it
saying.
now.
Right. So let's say you got $10,000 in this account, and as you got $10,000 sitting in this account, right? You know, they say, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Client, calm down. We'll give you all $10,000 of it, but you know, you can't. You know, when we give you the $10,000, you have to cancel your life insurance policy. So the only way to take out my money is I have to actually cancel my life insurance policy, which was the sole reason of why I even got it to begin with. Make sense?
Wow.
And so now you're back down to I paid for 2 things, but I actually only got 1. Okay. Now, if I were to ask people, right, and I ask the client, and 100% of the time I say, hey, listen, if you knew that there was a life insurance policy that worked like that, would you ever logically sign your name if you knew that there was a policy that worked like that? And 100% of people say, of course not. Why would I ever do that? Of course, right? Nobody would want to do that. But why is there millions of Americans that have that type of life insurance? Why do they do that if that makes logical sense? The reason why they got it is because that's not what they got taught. See, what they got taught is that they get the 2-for-1 deal. They get the life insurance and they get the investments, but that was never the truth. They either got one or they got the other, but they never got both. Okay.
Wow.
And so that's what's messed up. So let me kind of go back. All right. I'm gonna go back. You know, let me say this. Let me say this first. Okay. So yeah, let me take this off. All right. So, because the 4th way, I'm going to talk about the 4th way in a second, but I want to go back to this presentation because I want you to see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Now here's an example of a client, right? And this is the bad life insurance that they got. This is the cash value, the trash value life insurance policy, right? And so if you look here, this client is only 30 years old, married, they got 2 kids. Okay. Now at 30 years old, they're really, really young. But if you look at this, they only have $150,000 worth of life insurance coverage on each other. Now, $150,000 of coverage on a 30-year-old, that's not enough money. Because like I said, look at all the monthly responsibilities they have. That money would quickly blow out in a second, and that's the issue. Okay, so here, they only got $150,000 of coverage on each other. They got no coverage on their kids, but look at this. They're paying $285 a month. Okay, so like I said, they're overpaying, but they are underinsured, and that's the issue. Okay, now what I'm going to show to you is the 4th way to get life insurance. The 4th way to get life insurance is something called term insurance. Now, term insurance is just pure life insurance. There is no investment built into it. Okay, one, I want everybody to know is that you should never, ever, ever, ever mix your insurances with your investments or your retirement accounts. I mean, think about it. If you had car insurance, home insurance, health insurance, you don't have your life insurance. You don't have your investments mixed in with any of those type of insurances, right? So why would you mix your life insurance with your retirement money? You shouldn't. The only reason why these companies tell you to do that is because of the fact that they want you to pay a lot of money every single month. And then even if you cancel, they made a lot of money off of you. Okay.
Wow.
Which is messed up. Okay. So here's what we do. What we do is, as a company, we want to educate the consumer and teach them to get just pure life insurance. See, if you just get pure life insurance, the cost per thousand is cheaper. So now we're able to get the client a lot more coverage, but at a very inexpensive cost. Okay. So if you look back at this example, now we can get the same client who's 30 years old, $400,000 worth of life insurance, which makes them properly insured. Okay. $10,000 on all their kids, which remember they didn't have any before, and he only had $150,000 before. But now we've locked him in for 35 years. Okay. Now I don't know any insurance company that does 35 years. All insurance companies sell term, but typically most of them only go up to 20 years. I've seen a couple do 30 years, but most of them only go up to 20-year terms, okay? Now, the problem with this is they also go all the way down to what's called, a 1-year term, which is called an ART. That's an annual renewable term. So what that means is that every year, that cost of insurance is going to go up, which is also bad. So what we want to do is we want to teach people how to get a long-term period that they can lock in for the longest period that they possibly can, okay? And so if you did 35 years for this client, if they were 30 years old, then that means at 40, 50, 60, 65 years of age, they're still paying like a 30-year-old, okay? And so here's what I want people to realize. The reason why you want that long-term period to protect your family now, just in case something happens, but it gives you enough time to allow your assets and your retirement to grow. If we were teaching that person how to invest into a mutual fund from day one when they got life insurance with us, while their money was taking time to grow, at the end of those 35 years, they can have $500,000 saved up, you know, $750,000, $1 million, $1.5 million saved up. And if they have that much money saved up after the 35 years, what would they need life insurance for? Think about this. They have, kids are grown, their mortgage should be paid, their debts should be completely taken care of. Yes. And if they had $1 million saved up and they had a $300,000, $400,000 life insurance policy, what would they need that for? They wouldn't. They become what's called self-insured, okay? So, but now if you look at this client is only paying $126 a month, okay? So they're not paying $285 like they were paying before. That means monthly, we saved them. We actually put back into their pocket $159, right? That they didn't have prior to this, right? So we would take that money and we would show them how to invest that into that mutual fund account that we showed you earlier, right? And so without taking any money out of their pockets, we put money in their pockets and then we showed them how to invest it properly, okay? Now, so at this point, we got more coverage, less cost, and then put more money back to the client's pocket, okay? Now, now Sheridan, real quick, before I kind of pass it over to you, what I want people to know is that what we teach people, what that's called is, it's called the theory of decreasing responsibility, okay? And so what you do is you look at the left-hand side, you look in the early years, okay? And so when you look in the early years, what people need to do is they need to get as much life insurance coverage as they possibly can. The reason why they want to get as much life insurance coverage as they possibly can is because they got young kids, mortgage, debts, student loan debts, right? And if somebody were to pass away right now, their family would suffer financially. But in the beginning, they don't have a lot of life. They don't have a lot of it. Their money, their assets hasn't grown at all. They don't have any. Their money hasn't grown. You see what I'm saying? So they don't have that much money. So if we get them life insurance and investments, right? And as time goes by, let's say 35 years go by, like I said earlier, their lifestyle has completely changed. Their house is paid off. Their kids should be grown adults, right? They got no debt. And now their money has grown to $1 million. They got $400,000 worth of life insurance, okay? And if they come up to renewal, yes, they can renew with our company all the way to the age of 95 without any medical, without redoing the medical. But why would they have to do that? They could do that if they want, but why would they have to do that if they got $1 million in liquid cash with less responsibility? So now this family is financially taken care of. So in essence, okay, what we did was this, okay? We looked at two main things that people need to take care of themselves financially, guys, okay? And so, we do a lot of things in Primerica, but the two main things that we look at is, is making sure that that family is taken care of financially right now and in the future, okay? And here's why. See, the first thing everybody has to have is you have to have life insurance, okay? Now, why do you need life insurance, okay? The reason why you need to get life insurance is just in case you die too soon. See, if you die too soon, there needs to be a large, immediate amount of money that can come into your family right now. Because if it doesn't come into your family right now, that family's devastated. There's no money there. Forget paying the funeral. You're not going to be able to do that. but you won't be able to live month to month, okay? So you have to get life insurance in case we die too soon. Now, the second thing everybody has to do is you have to invest money. Why do you have to invest money? It's just in case you live too long, okay? Guys, listen, I promise you, you do not want to outlive your money. If you only had 100,000 at retirement, it would literally last you about 1 year. That's it. But what happens if you live for another 19 years after that?
Exactly.
19 years with no money, and you would have to go back to work until you die. And to me, that was a scary thought. Or until, you know, so you have to work for the rest of your life, or until you physically can't anymore. And then you have to like move in with your kids or something like this because you can't financially take care of yourself. And that was a scary thing for me. So again, to recap, okay, life insurance and investments have nothing to do with each other at all, but they go interchangeably with each other, meaning that you need both of them, not together, separately, to take care of your financial life. So we get the life insurance if we die too soon, and then we invest money just in case we live too long, okay? Now, I want to say that next part. Do you want me to say the next part, or do you want to kind of interject and, you know, say a couple of things, or?
Yeah, I would like to say a couple of things in Spanish. Give me a second.
Okay,
Esto es bien importante, mi gente. O sea, nosotros tenemos que pensar en si vivimos corto o si vivimos mucho tiempo. ¿Ok? Nosotros tenemos el seguro de vida por si vivimos corto tiempo, la inversión si vivimos mucho tiempo. Como él explica, tú te imaginas a nuestros padres a la edad. Antes no se vivía esto. Yo lo vivo con mi mamá. Te estoy dando un testimonio mío personal. Mi mamá no tuvo retiro, no invirtió dinero. Ellos no hicieron nada de esto. Mi papá falleció. Mi mamá fue quien entonces queda viva y paga poco a poco este funeral y todas esas cosas. Ahora mismo pues ella vive en un lugar que a ella le encanta, muy bonito, pero no invirtió para estar mejor todavía. Yo tengo que prepararme, yo soy hija única, tengo que prepararme para quizás tenerla conmigo en mi casa cuando ella esté más mayor. O sea, nosotros somos el life insurance de los padres. Nos convertimos en ese seguro de vida de nuestros padres cuando llegan ancianos. En el estado de la Florida se ve mucho ancianito trabajando en los supermercados. ¿Por qué? Porque no invirtieron un dinero, no se prepararon. Nosotros que estamos viendo esa generación que ya está pasando y están trabajando en los supermercados, tenemos que prepararnos, porque este es el momento, mi gente, de prepararnos con un seguro de vida y de prepararnos con ahorrar un dinero, pero en el lugar correcto, mi gente. Si tienes alguna pregunta, algún comentario, este es el momento. Ya estamos cerrando prácticamente, ya estamos terminando, así que este es tu momento para hacerme cualquier pregunta y yo soy tu intermediario y se las puedo hacer a él, ¿ok? Así que pendientes, mi gente, que tenemos más.
Okay, great. So what we would do is this, okay? So here's something I want everybody to understand. What we would really do is we would basically try to put together a program for somebody, okay? Because, you know, if somebody says, hey, I want to take care of my family, this is important stuff, no one's teaching it to me, and, look, you could watch, financial advisors and learn about this stuff, but who do you have that can do it? Who do you have that can actually help you out with that stuff, okay? And this is what we can do. We can help you out with this, okay? So what we would do is we would put together a program for that family member, right, to make sure that they protect those two things, okay? Their life if they die too soon, with life insurance if they die too soon, investments if they live too long, okay? Now, so we look at two different things, okay? So on the investment aspect, okay? Well, let's talk about this, all right? So let's say we put together a budget for somebody, okay? Now, Sheridan, just like you were saying earlier, how much does something like that cost? Listen, if you're getting the right type of life insurance, it's not a lot, all right? And if you're investing with us, it's not a lot as well. Here's why. I can have a client says, look, I don't have that much money to, I want to do this is important, but this is all I have. Let's say they had $100 that they could stash away every single month comfortably, okay? We say, look, no problem. So what we would do is maybe we would take this $100 every single month, right? And we would say, hey, maybe we could put $75 every single month towards life insurance, right? And then maybe $25 a month towards the investments, okay? So we would do something like that. Start off with something. That's better than nothing. Make sense? That's much, having something is better than nothing, okay? And so I want to make sure that everybody has something. I can accommodate cost, but I want to make sure that that person is protected and they're starting to put money away for retirement, because I want to make sure that I do what's right for that person, okay? Now, but let's say that person really takes this serious and they start to budget a little bit better, right? Maybe they don't spend their money, a little bit less foolishly. Maybe they stop eating out as much, okay? And so they say, hey, look, I can free up comfortably $200 every single month, okay? So if that's the case, then maybe we would take, let's say $125 for life insurance to make sure that their family gets protected every month for their whole family. And then let's say we up their investments a month to $75, okay? And so now they got more money that they're putting away, and now they got more coverage to protect their family. But let's say they really took it seriously. If they really, really took it seriously, right, and they want to stash away more money, they're willing to stop going out to eat as much, stop paying for things that don't matter as much, right? They're not buying brand new furniture. They're not, updating the TV every single year and a half or whatever the case might be, right? Then let's say they start to put away $300. Of course, it could be a lot more than that, but let's say every month they put away $300. So maybe what we would do is we'll go right down the middle. So maybe we would do $150 towards life insurance and $150 towards the investment. So cut it right down the middle. So now we got them, really protecting their families. God forbid anything would happen in the shortfall, okay? But then we also got, money that we're stashing away for the retirement long haul, okay? And so here's what you have to understand on the investment side, okay? This is a big, big deal, and I hope everybody really pays attention to this, is that anybody can open up an investment account with us for $25 a month, okay? 25. Listen, I don't care where you go. You can't go to any financial institution, any investment firm where they're going to let you open up an investment account. I'm not talking about the bank. We're talking about a real investment account for $25 a month. I mean, or to start it up for $25. The reason why is because usually to open up an account, it would have to be $25,000 to start or $100,000 to start. Most people don't have that. And again, like I said earlier, what they're doing is these people, they cater to the wealthy people. Wall Street caters to the wealthy people because they understand, that, hey, they have more money, so we want to help them out. But what about everybody else? See, Primerica, our company is not a Wall Street company. We're a Main Street company. Our job is to take, like I said earlier, is to take what the wealthy have endured for years and mass produce it successfully to the middle class, so that way we can make sure that we take care of these guys financially, so that way they're not struggling. Does that make sense? Okay. And so if we can start somebody off, if somebody can start, of course you can put away a lot more money than that. But let's say they can't start with $25. Starting with $25, that would be like a husband and a wife going to Chick-fil-A one time, right? Or, going to a fast food restaurant, just two people going out to eat. That's not a lot of money. Anybody can start there. And we want to make sure they can start there. Now, when it comes down to life insurance, okay? When it comes down to the life insurance aspect, okay, that is completely based on the individual, okay? So when they start with the life insurance aspect, it's based on the age, okay? And so, of course, we'd ask medical questions and all that good stuff. Everybody has to qualify for life insurance, right? But investment aspect, they can start with $25. We can open up any account for anybody, okay? Regardless of age or what the situation is, as long as they start with $25. On the life insurance aspect, the younger you are, of course, the cheaper it could be. We can get more coverage at a longer term period of time. But like I said, having something, okay, is always better than not having anything. And, I'm just so, I think it's great that you guys have someone like Sheridan who definitely cares about you and wants to help you out in not just one area of your finances, whether it's credit or anything like this, but to help out in all aspects of your financial life, because she's looking out for your best interest. She wants to make sure that if she deals with somebody or a company, that she's dealing with a reputable company. She's dealing with a company that has morals, they have standards, and they truly care about somebody to be able to help them out financially, okay? So Sheridan, I do appreciate you having me on. And if there's any kind of questions that you have or anything that you want me to emphasize on, please ask me, because I definitely want to be able to help you out with that.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for this. Wow, this huge information. I believe we're going to help a lot of people in this community, on my Facebook community and more. And I would like them to share this information. Así que chicos, les exhorto a que compartan esta información. Si tienen alguna pregunta, aunque terminemos la clase como quiera, puedes hacerla. Tú sabes que estoy pendiente durante el día. Esto ha sido una información muy extensa, muy grande, muy amplia, profunda y necesaria, mi gente. Y a nuestra edad tenemos que comenzar a hablarle a los hijos sobre todos estos temas para que no les pase como a nosotros. Así que les damos las gracias a Derek. Él es el vicepresidente regional, vicepresidente de Primerica, y ha compartido con nosotros toda esta hora de su tiempo para orientarnos, mi gente, y para capacitarnos en todo lo que se refiere a nuestro dinero. ¿Dónde poner nuestro dinero? Es una base muy importante. ¿Con quién, mi gente? Porque no es con todo el mundo. Así que tienen más preguntas, déjamelo saber. Yo voy a estar por aquí en el espacio. Comparte este video en tus grupos, comparte este video en tus páginas, compártelo con mucha gente para que también se beneficie. Si quieren ver más de nosotros, conéctate todos los jueves a la 1:30 de la tarde. Estamos en vivo, siempre con un invitado especial. Así que le damos las gracias a Derek. Thank you again, Derek, for your time. Thank you for this huge information, and we see you then, okay?
Thank you very much, Sheridan. And I would say if there's anything that if people, you know, if they want to reach out, please reach out to have them reach out to you, so we can be able to sit down with them on a one-on-one basis, so we can personalize it for them, so that way we can be able to really help them out financially, do some quotes on life insurance, and talk about what they have as far as investments and what they would like to put away. So that way we just, you know, be able to help them out, and let's do that as fast as possible. So that way we can help everybody out, okay? So thank you very much, Sheridan, and it was a pleasure talking to you guys.
Thank you again, Derek. Gracias, mi gente. Nos conectamos próximamente. Dios los bendiga.